Hey everybody, this is Coach Eric and I'm showing some video today. I'm going to walk you through a fast and furious review of our classes and talk about techniques a little bit. As you'll see here, Fernando is doing an armbar and I just had him tighten up his heels. When you're doing an armbar, make sure your feet are close to the ribs. You see how I pulled his feet close to the ribs of his opponent? This way your opponent can't start controlling your feet. If he can control your feet here, because they're far away, he can use his right hand to control your feet. That means he can control the position of your hips. So always make sure you're pulling those feet in close to the ribs. This is a favorite escape of mine when somebody's doing technical mount. I like to bring my hands underneath the knee leg that's up, and then I just simply walk in the direction of that leg. Make sure though I grab this leg so he can't kick his right leg over my head and go to side control, because if he kicks this leg straight, if I'm not holding it, he's going to bring it around to this side and end up on my right side and side control. So that's an important part. This butterfly guard sweep works pretty good for me. Essentially, why does it work? Well, I've got one leg that I'm trapping here with my left leg, and the other leg is elevating his hip on this side. So I'm able to essentially do kind of like I guess you could call it a butterfly scissor sweep, because I'm trapping this leg how you do in a scissor sweep. If Fernando wants to survive this position, what he's not looking to do at this point, what he shouldn't look to do, is post this foot out to the side, because I already have established this trap here. And you have to assume that your training partner will establish a trap. So when you're in this position, from Fernando's perspective, he should be dropping his left side of his hip really hard, like twisting basically all of his energy to the left like a corkscrew. That way he will shut down this hook. He needs to drop his knee as hard as he can to the mat, his left knee, by corkscrewing his hip that way. And then he would have a pretty decent chance, if he catches it early, of shutting down the sweep. Let's move through, show you a couple of more things from our technique. This is Fernando here, and he was pretty close to taking Tim's back. In fact, he had a really good opportunity at about this point when he could actually come on top quickly and then put some downward pressure. That would have been a really good position for him to be in. But instead, Tim was able to kind of keep moving. He was fighting. Tim was fighting to keep it as is, and Tim was able to twist out and then get into the close guard of Fernando. Here's a triangle attempt. I want to talk about this. Tim did the right thing by posturing up. He basically brought his head up really high, and what he could have done at this point was he could have brought Fernando's body this way, twisted. He could have twisted around so that Fernando's body would have fallen to Fernando's right. But instead, he kind of fought it like this and allowed Fernando to break his posture. And so Fernando had a lot of time to be able to work. You can see Tim is kind of like really struggling here to get his posture back. And now it's sort of hard. He wasn't able to finish the triangle, so I yelled at Fernando I said, finish an arm bar here. So Fernando threw the leg over. What happened was Tim easily took his arm out. Why was Tim able to easily take his arm out? Well, one thing, notice that Fernando's left hand is grabbing onto a forearm. So he's grabbing onto Tim's forearm here. He's not grabbing onto Tim's elbow, so which would have been a better hold. better way to control Tim's left arm, so it slips out. The other thing he could have done, even a better idea, is to squeeze this knee really hard against Tim's head so that would prevent Tim from taking that arm out. It would have taken away the space. So if he would have squeezed this knee against Tim's ear and then kind of dragged it across Tim's head, he would have been able to trap the arm. Okay, maybe we'll have time to fit in one more. This is me just kind of smashing my way through to pass Fernando's guard. This escape looks pretty good. You'll see Tim gets out of Moo's mount. But I have a little caution sign here. The reason is Tim only has one arm, his right arm, under Moo's hip. And so when he gets out, he gets a little bit lucky because Moo doesn't have a lot of experience. He should have both arms under. You see his elbow is on this other side of his leg. If he has both arms under, he won't be able to be triangled or put into a position of where he's going to be, his other arm is threatened. You always want two arms under. So next time, even though this escape worked, that's because of the lack of experience of the person on top. You always want to get two arms under. Here you'll see I finished a triangle on Tim. I'm bringing Tim's arm across my hip, the one that I have trapped. This is a good way to finish a triangle. There are a few different styles, but I like the style where I have the trapped arm across my hip. This will prevent the person from stacking and using a variety of escapes. It's one way to do it. So watch as I grab his head to make sure that the arm doesn't slip back to the other side. I just want to ensure that he's not going to be able to drag that across to the other side. And I'm grabbing the top of his head because he's strong. Now I'm going to reposition my hips to get a better angle, close it up, and then I've got the tap there. Notice here, Fernando grabs his hand over my head. This would have been, it would have been better if he would have brought his arm down here and then worked another type of escape. But he kept it there. So I grabbed his hand, and now his hand is all mine. That arm is mine. So I just, at this point, yeah, it's done. So you never want to grab up there when your opponent is on top of you, because here I just grabbed his wrist. I could have got an elbow lock. I ended up doing a wrist lock, but next time, if you're ever in this position, just bury your elbow into the hip. It would look something like this. So it's going to look something like this, like with the hand here. Whoops. Okay, just bury that. He should have buried that left elbow into my hip right here. Instead, he grabbed my head. I easily caught it, and brought it down to the mat. Here are a few more techniques. These were all stuff that we did rolling with each other. So I'm just talking about stuff that happened last week. This week talked about in the last video. So Tim is on top of me. His hips are very high off the ground. They're very high up off the ground. Basically the same distance as the front of his leg. That's how high up they are. So I bring him on top of me, and now his hips are above me, and he's super light. It's easy for me to bring him over the top. I was the barrel. This is a shoulder lock. It looked like I was doing an armbar setup. Possibly to some, but it ended up being, I just went for the shoulder lock. This is not a good angle. I don't want to explain that because that's not a great angle. Tim's got the front headlock here. And he goes for Fernando's back. He doesn't have a great choke on, but Fernando was pretty tired. So Tim hangs on to it, and he actually got the tap. This is for real. I know exactly how this feels when you're not sure how to get out, and that person's applying pressure. You see, things don't have to be perfect. If you have a less experienced or tired opponent, jiu-jitsu works in weird ways. With not exact, you don't have to be exact. That's the beauty of it. Here, I'll talk about this for a second. So, I'm underneath, and I was actually originally I'm trying to pummel under his leg. I want to go out the back door here, but he's pinching his knees. He's being narrow. His knees are very tight, very close to each other. So instead of fighting to get underneath his hips, to get double underhooks under, I'm like, okay, now it's time to push him away and wrap up his legs. That's it. That's your cue. If the guy has his knees close and he's in this kind of mount, just go to the front of his knees, push him in on the inside. And now I've got him back in my guard. Now we've been working on this week. I want to break his posture by making a high guard. So I'm just kind of bringing my knees in here. I wasn't really doing a high guard here. Okay, I thought this was a different part of the video. I'm just kind of dragging his arm across. He senses it, what I was doing, because I do this to him all the time now. Now I'm breaking his posture by pulling down his head. He's trying to get under my legs, and there's the triangle. That is so classic. I didn't make this thing up. You can't make this up. Well, somebody did, probably. But imagine the first time someone did this. That would be incredible. That must have been the happiest day of their life. So, look, I break his posture. He's trying to break open my guard. And boom, right over the top, into the triangle. Now he tries to stack me, and I just bury the hand into the ground. And I'm able to tip him over and then turn that triangle into an armbar. And that's about all, guys. That's another example of that sweep. So he should remember, if you're in this position, drop all your weight, corkscrew your hip to the other side, drive into the hook. Oh, I hope this helps, guys, and I hope you have a great time on the mat, no matter where you are in the world. I hope that the countries that are having restrictions are able to train soon, and I'll see you on the mat.